How's it going, everybody? My name is Alex, and today I've got a first episode of what I hope will be a decent series on an introduction to retail-based Excel. So I coined the term retail-based Excel for people who are working in a retail environment who want to use Microsoft Excel to analyze information that's coming out of their business system. So whether you have a POS, which is a point of sale machine that collects data based on what products you're scanning and sending through the till and going out the door with your customers, and you want to see how things are going and what you could improve on, what you might not be able to improve on, because at the end of the day, the information that comes through these systems isn't subjective. It's not like, I think I sold 2 units. You'll be able to see for sure what the system says in the data, and that's pretty much what Excel acts as a medium for. And I'm starting this little series because I feel like a lot of people, they're a bit scared of Excel when they first have to start using it, especially when they move into a full-time job where they find out that Excel is a very big part of what they do, and they might get intimidated by people who have been using it for a long time and know how to do things very quickly, and to actually show that it's not as scary a program as you might think. So today, I don't want to have this episode go for too long, but we're just going to go through some pretty basic functions. I'll probably cut the video around the 10-12 minute mark because I don't think people want to watch these for too long, and if I can, I'll try and put timestamps in the video in case you are quite time sensitive and want to just get to the point, because I can babble on a little bit too much. So what I've got in front of me is it's a fake. Everything here is fake. None of this is real. It's just a bunch of suppliers which you might work with in any business, a few brands. So some suppliers might have different brands. So Bad Drinks Incorporated has Hilldew. It's also got Solo. Then Son of Stars has got Starkist and Starkist Zero. I've got some sizes. So we're dealing with drinks here. You could deal with like packaged goods, where you might have a large packet, a small packet. You might deal with, say, consumer electronics, where you might have different lengths of a cable or different models of different products. And I've got a product code, which is basically just a merger of both the brand and the size. A recommended retail price. So when the store or whatever business I work for scans this product, this is to sell. This is how much the customer has to pay for it, and a sales amount for July. I just picked July because it's the start of the financial year, at least in Australia, and a sales unit amount. Now, one of the easiest and one of the most basic formulas you could do with a data set like this, you want to see, I think one of the easiest question to answer with this sort of information would be, how much sales did I do in July? Based on this information here, depending on how your system works, maybe it might not give you the information in a way that you can see everything at this sort of itemized level at a top level, if that makes sense. So you might see everything down to a product level, but it might not tell you straight away what your actual overall sales was, and that's where Excel can come in and help you out. So you can click anywhere in the sheet, but I'm just going to click below July sales because usually I like to see the totals of things at the bottom, or we might just do it one from the bottom. The easiest possible formula you can use in Excel is sum. Now there are 3 ways to do a sum, and a sum is just calculating all of the cells put together. So it would be like if I was to open up my calculator like so and type in 225,625 plus 299,194, and then so on and so forth with all of these. Instead of doing that and being here for like 3 minutes, the sum will do all of that for us. So we can go, there's 3 ways to do it. The way I like to do it is you just type in equals. Every formula has to start with an equals. Type in SUM, put an open bracket, it'll say down the bottom number 1, number 2. You can drag from the top all the way down. It'll be in a blue box, and luckily with the newer versions of Excel, they give you color codes so that it's easier to see what's going on where. So you can see that this here is in blue, and so is the data I'm summing. Close the bracket. I've done $14.6 million in sales. Now, the other way you can do it, and I'll do it in this box just to be safe. You can go up here in your home section, all the way on the right, you'll have something called auto sum. You can click on the auto sum, and it will basically detect where your where some values are based on cells above, to the left, to the right, and beneath. I've done it below all the cells because I only wanted to calculate what's above, because there's no information to the left and to the right, and below it there's only one cell, whereas above it there are 29 cells. So it's going to pick the data, it's going to pick where there's the majority of the data, because that's where it's thinking you're going to want to sum. So Excel's quite smart like that. And you press enter, gives you the exact same result. And the last thing you can do if you wanted to do a sum is one of the few that you can actually do multiple different ways of doing it. Every other formula, as far as I know, if you wanted to do it, you'd have to go into formulas and click into here to do it. You know, for like false, sum ifs, averages, you can click in there to do it. But auto sum happens to be on this front page, which you can use. Last way you can do it is you can click on this FX button. You could type in sum in the function, click on sum, press OK, and you'll see here what it's done is it's automatically picked every cell above these columns, which you might not necessarily want. So what you can do is you can actually just click and drag it all the way down to where you want. You could also pick a second range. You do this just by hitting comma in the other if you were to type it out. But you can't do it if you hit auto sum. So this only works in this way, and if you were to type it out yourself. I could also sum the sales units as well, which would be a very weird thing to do, because sales units is your sales dollars divided by your recommended retail price, assuming you don't have any markdowns and stuff like that. So I haven't got anything like that in this data set, so I wouldn't actually want to do that. So I'm just going to do that, and it'll give me the same result. So pretty easy stuff. Another thing you might want to do, this is where we get a little bit more advanced. You can actually, before we get into more advanced things like pivot tables, you might actually just want to see, by filtering your sales at a top level, how certain departments are going. Okay, so what you can do is you can either click the row and go to data and filter, and you could do a supplier, and then do, say, bad drinks. There's all your bad drinks. But if you do a sum statement now and drag this, it'll have this little green tick box. And what you'll actually end up finding is, because you've dragged all the cells down, it's actually summing everything in here. If I was to press enter again and then get out of this, it's actually calculated everything for bad drinks, but it's also included some things from Coca-Cola, which we actually didn't want. So in that instance, what you might want to do instead is delete that. We're going to insert a row up here. You can insert a row by either clicking and hitting insert, or you can just press Control+ on your keyboard, and you can go above the cell and just write subtotal. Subtotal is a more fancy version of a sum, and it basically works really well in conjunction with a filter. So in this case, we're going to go subtotal, and then you get a long listing of things here. Now, I haven't found, and I've been working in retail businesses for 3.5 years now, going on 4. I've never really found any reason to use anything in here except for sum. So click on 9, then you can click through all of your values here again, close the brackets. I'm also just going to go up here, because I haven't formatted this correctly, oops, sorry. I'm going to go click on the $sign and drag that back to 0 decimal places. This will now show me what I had before, which was a sum. These two are the exact same at this point. But if I was to go into my supplier now and click on bad drinks, this will now automatically change to the new subtotal, which is only going to calculate what's currently in view. So it's subtotaling what's currently in view on Excel. So I could actually go even further and break this down to solo. So now it's only going to subtotal these cells now. Then I can go in here. If you wanted to get rid of all of your filters really quickly, you can just go to data and hit clear, and it'll remove everything. We might have a bit of time to do a few other formulas here. I'm going to delete that. That's Subtotal. Subtotals are very helpful if you've got a large set of data and you're presenting something real quick that maybe people just want to look at. Maybe you've got a boss who likes to look at it in this form where he's got his brands, his sizes, that sort of thing. He could break this down. He or she, sorry, we don't live in the 1950s. Apologies. Your boss could also be a female. Actually, most of my line managers have been female. Actually, yeah, most of them have been. You could do 2 liters. So you can see all the 2 liter products, and they've done 2.7 mil. But in the next episode, we're actually going to break that down a lot better to showcase things so that you don't have to use the filter. You can actually do some formulas. We'll build some of the formulas here on the right to show how you can show the same information that Subtotal is doing without having this value at the top of the sheet. So I'm going to delete that. For now, it's an interesting thing to have. I haven't really found too much use for it, and delete that row because we want to just keep things nice and clean. And we'll move on to some more cool calculations in the next episode. But for now, that's sums and subtotals in a nutshell. Sums will help you just sum a whole set of data, no problem. I guess I'll show you real quick before I end the episode. What will happen if you were to try and sum just one brand? So if I was to go here and go, okay, I want to find out what the sum of the sales are without doing a filter on Bad Drinks' Hilldew. I'll get this annoying green tick here, which if you hover over this, it says the formula in this cell refers to a range that has additional numbers adjacent to it. And then I could do the same thing for the next brand down, which is the Coca-Cola, and it'll get me this green thing every time, which is not good because it's trying to include the other cells. It's saying, why are you only summing 4 cells? I've got more data here, because sum is primarily designed to just sum everything within a table. It's not designed to cut certain pieces out, and that's why you get these green ticks. You can hit ignore and it'll go away, but you'd have to do that for each one, which is a bit annoying. So we'll go through in a future episode how to basically find this exact same information, but without getting that annoying green tick. And you'll feel really good in the process because you'll actually learn how to use some kick-ass formulas in Excel. So for now, that's the first episode done. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it didn't take too much of your time up. I'll put some timestamps in so you can see how things are going if you want to refer back. And we'll see you next time.